The alien with empty hands. The twin suns burned above the trade market on Arvo 9. Heat rose from the metal ground like steam. Voices shouted, machines buzzed, and the smell of oil and fire filled the air. Reknor moved slowly through the crowd. His clothes were torn, his skin dry, and his legs weak. He held out his hands to every shopkeeper, every vendor, every worker. "Please," he said, "I will do any job, I just need work. Food. For my daughter." Most looked away. Some laughed, others pushed him aside. Across the dusty street, Sira sat under a broken shade cloth. Her eyes were half closed. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. She didn't speak anymore. She just watched her father and waited. Reknor reached a large stall filled with ship parts. He bowed to the alien working there. "I cleaned solar vents before. I repaired cables. I can lift heavy. Go beg somewhere else," the alien growled. "I don't hire filth." Reknor bowed lower. "Just one chance and get lost." A small wrench hit Reknor's chest. He stumbled back, falling onto the metal floor. His knees hit hard. His arms hung down, hands empty. And then, a voice. Calm. "Human." "That's enough." The voice came from a nearby booth, a small repair stand, with a worn flag that read Daniel's Mech-Tech. A human man stepped out, wiping grease from his fingers. He walked over to Reknor and offered a hand. "You looking for work?" he asked. Reknor looked up, eyes wide. Yes, please." Daniel nodded. "Then come on. Let's get you cleaned up." The crowd stared. Some laughed. Others shook their heads. Daniel didn't care. He helped Reknor up and walked him back to his booth. "You got a name?" Daniel asked. "Reknor. You got experience?" "Yes. I cleaned engines for 10 years. Lifted cargo. Repaired solar panels." "Good," Daniel said. "You start now. Payment, food first, questions later." Reknor's hands shook as he took a simple tool from Daniel's bench. He didn't remember the last time someone trusted him with anything. After 2 hours, Daniel handed him a food box and pointed across the street. "Go feed her." Reknor turned. Sira sat where he left her. Silent, small, still. He ran. He dropped to his knees and opened the box in front of her. She stared at the bread inside. Then at him. "Eat, little light," he whispered. "A human gave this to us." Her fingers moved slowly, then faster. She took the bread, bit once, then twice, and tears filled her eyes. Back at the shop, Daniel watched them from a distance. Another vendor came by and asked, "Why waste food on trash?" Daniel didn't even look at him, because no one else would. By nightfall, Reknor finished cleaning the back of Daniel's shop. His back hurt, his arms ached, but his heart felt full. Daniel brought him water and pointed to an old crate. "You sleep here tonight. Tomorrow, we do real work." Reknor nodded. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," Daniel said. "Still plenty to fix." Reknor looked at him carefully. "Why help me?" he asked. Daniel paused, then said, "Because someone helped me once, and I never forgot what it felt like." Reknor curled up beside the crate, staring at the stars through the cracks in the roof. He held Sira close. For the first time in many weeks, she smiled and softly whispered, "Father, I like the human." Bread before questions. The sun rose, red over the scrapyards of Arvo 9. Reknor was already awake. He had not slept much. Not because the ground was hard, not because the crate made a poor bed. He had not slept because he was afraid this was a dream. But it wasn't. His daughter, Sira, still lay beside him, wrapped in a clean cloth Daniel gave them. Her small hands clutched the empty food box from last night like a treasure. Daniel arrived just before dawn. He tossed Reknor a simple work belt with a patch that read crew. "You said you fixed solar vents?" he asked. "Yes," Reknor replied. "Good," Daniel said. "You'll be fixing mine." They worked all morning. Reknor climbed on top of the metal shop and cleaned out the dusty vents. He checked broken panels, rewired connections, and swept old tools from the floor. He worked with quiet hands and fast steps. He didn't complain. He didn't rest. Below, Daniel kept watching. He didn't say much, but he noticed something. This was not a lazy man. This was a father trying to matter again. When the sun was highest, Daniel handed Reknor 2 bowls of stew and flatbread. "One for her," he said. "One for you." Reknor hesitated. "This is more than my day's work," he said. Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Then we're even. Yesterday you worked before eating. Today you eat before questions." Reknor carried the food to the corner where Sira sat on a warm cloth mat. When she saw him, her eyes lit up. "You came back," she whispered. "I promised." He fed her slowly. She leaned against him as she ate, sleepy but happy. And then she said, "He smells like warm metal." "Who?" "The human." Reknor smiled. "That means he's real," she added. Back in the shop, Daniel fixed a broken drone leg while Reknor worked on the wall mounts. After a while, Reknor asked the question again. "Why did you help me?" Daniel replied without looking up. "Do you know how many people pass through this market?" "Many." "Do you know how many stop to see who's hurting?" "Few." Daniel looked up. "You were the only one still asking for work, not money, not favors. Work." Reknor lowered his head. "Because work is all I have left." "Nah," Daniel said. "You've got her, and now you've got me." In the evening, Sira wandered into the shop for the first time. She looked around, wide-eyed, so many tools, so many lights. Daniel waved her over. "You ever seen a spark wrench?" She shook her head. He handed it to her carefully. She touched the button. It buzzed. She giggled. "You can keep it," he said. "Really?" she asked. "If your father says yes." She looked at Reknor. He nodded. "Then yes," she shouted, holding it like a trophy. Reknor stood back and watched. His daughter was laughing. The human was smiling, and the shop was full of light. He had not known warmth like this since before the war, since before the hunger. He stepped outside for a moment, letting the wind hit his face. His hands were dirty, but no longer empty. Just as he closed the door behind him, a patrol bot rolled past the street. It paused near Daniel's shop. Its red eye blinked, scanned, and moved on. Inside its memory chip, it marked, "Non-registered alien labor detected." The inspector's threat. The next morning started quiet. Daniel fixed a broken circuit board while Reknor organized parts by size and shape. Sira swept the corners with a small brush, humming a soft tune she made up herself. For a moment it felt like they had always been a team, like the world outside had forgotten about them. But it hadn't. A black transport vehicle arrived just before midday. It parked without sound. The doors opened with a hiss. Out stepped Inspector Voren, a tall alien officer with polished armor and no expression. 2 armed patrol bots followed behind him. Daniel stepped out of the shop, wiping his hands. "Can I help you?" he asked. Voren scanned him once, then looked inside the shop. "You've hired undocumented labor," he said. Daniel didn't flinch. "I hired a worker who showed up, asked honestly, and saved my business 2 days in a row." Voren stepped forward. "You broke code section 742. You did not report the alien. You did not request clearance. That is punishable." Daniel crossed his arms. "And what's the punishment for letting a father and child starve in a gutter?" Voren's eyes narrowed. Inside, Reknor froze when he saw the patrol bots. He moved in front of Sira, his arms out, his body shaking. She whispered, "Is he here for us?" "Stay quiet," he said. "Stay behind me." Outside, Voren raised a scanner. "His name is Reknor. He was listed on a denied labor list after the trade colony shut down. Your file will now be marked for legal review." Daniel nodded. "You want me to fire him?" "Yes," Voren said. "Immediately." Daniel looked him in the eyes. "No." A pause. The bots raised their arms, weapons not drawn, but ready. Voren's voice stayed calm. "You understand the risk? Do you understand the choice?" Daniel replied. "He's done more honest work in 3 days than some crews do in 3 months. He works. He doesn't steal. He protects his kid. That's what matters in this shop. Foran tapped something on his wrist. Then we'll be watching, he said. And when you fail inspection, this shop will be shut down. He turned, walked away. The bots followed. The black vehicle disappeared down the dust road. Inside, Reknor lowered himself to the floor. His hands shook. I should leave, he said. I've brought danger. Daniel stepped inside, face hard. Don't say that. But they'll punish you. Let them try. You don't know what they can do. Daniel pointed toward the door. And they don't know what I'll fight for. Sierra walked to Daniel and placed the spark wrench in his hand. I made it shiny, she said. He knelt down and looked at it. It was covered in dust and stickers. He smiled. It's perfect. That evening the sky turned dark early. A windstorm was coming. Daniel secured the door, locked the shutters, and pulled out blankets for Reknor and Syra. As they ate, Daniel sat beside the workbench checking his tools. Reknor spoke softly. I've never seen anyone stand like that. Not for me. Daniel didn't look up. Then it's time someone did. He paused, then added, I lost my brother during the war. We were on opposite sides, but he saved a child before he died. Even after everything, he remembered what mattered. Reknor looked at him. And now you do the same. Daniel nodded once. Just paying it forward. Sickness and sacrifice. The storm hit that night. Dust slammed against the metal shop walls. The wind howled like a broken machine. Lights flickered. Loose wires sparked. Reknor held Syra close, her body wrapped in the warmest blanket they had. But her skin was cold, too cold. She's burning, he whispered. Daniel walked over and placed a hand on her forehead. Hot. Dry. And her small body trembled. Fever, Daniel said. And it's not mild. What do we do? Reknor asked, panic in his voice. There's a med unit in Sector 12, Daniel replied. But they don't treat unregistered. Reknor looked down at his daughter. Then I'll carry her there. They won't know. Daniel shook his head. They scan at the gate. Then she'll die, Reknor shouted. Daniel didn't answer. He stood slowly, walked to the back of the shop, opened a locked drawer. Inside was a small case, silver and clean. He opened it. Emergency credits. Enough for one trip, enough for one favor. His hand hovered over it. This was for a new engine, he said quietly. Been saving 3 years. Reknor looked up. Then don't. Daniel took the credits and shoved them into his coat. Sierra lives first. Engines come later. The storm was still strong, but Daniel powered up his old hoverbike anyway. Reknor sat behind him holding Sierra tight. She coughed softly, her voice almost gone. As they sped through the streets, lights flickered above them. The world looked cold, but one man still burned with purpose. They reached the back door of the med unit. Daniel walked up to a human nurse he knew, Lena, a friend from long ago. Child sick, he said. Can you help? Lena looked at the girl, then at Reknor. She's undocumented. I know, Daniel said, but she's dying. Lena stared for a long moment, then opened the gate. Inside, Sierra was placed in a scan pod. Machines beeped, lights blinked. The doctor frowned. Her body's rejecting food. Stress-based fever. Rare condition. Can she survive? Reknor asked. Yes, the doctor replied, but she needs meds, real ones, not cheap fixes. Daniel handed over all the credits. Will this cover it? The doctor scanned them, nodded. Just enough. Reknor sat beside Sierra as she rested in the med bed. She looked smaller than ever. He whispered, You stay strong, little light. The human is still fighting for you. Daniel stood outside looking through the glass. Lena came up beside him. You gave everything for someone you met days ago, she said. I did, Daniel replied. Why? He paused, then answered. Because she reminds me of who I used to. Forced you scared, alone, needing someone to say you matter. When the medicine took hold, Sierra finally opened her eyes. She saw Daniel. "Uncle," she whispered. He smiled. "You're back." The next morning they returned to the shop. No food, no savings, no fuel. But they had each other. Reknor pulled Daniel aside. "I can never repay you." Daniel shook his head. "You already did." "How?" Daniel looked at Sira. "She called me uncle." Danger in the dark. The sun had barely risen when the ground outside the shop shook. Dust fell from the roof. Daniel stepped outside and saw it. A patrol carrier, 3 soldiers, and Inspector Varan. The inspector stepped forward, his voice cold. "This is your last warning." Daniel crossed his arms. "You said that already." Varan nodded at the soldiers. "Remove the alien." Inside the shop, Reknor held Sira close. She had just started walking again. Her color had returned. Her eyes were bright. Now fear returned too. Reknor stood slowly. "I'll go." "No," Daniel said, stepping in front of him. "You're not running." "If I stay, they'll shut this place down," Reknor whispered. "Then let them try," Daniel replied. Outside, the soldiers approached. Daniel walked. "Out first. Stop right there," he said. Voran raised his hand. "Stand aside, human." "No," Daniel said. "You want him, you go through me." A crowd began to form. Neighbors, workers, vendors. Many of them had seen Reknor fixing things, lifting loads, helping without asking. An old fruit seller stepped forward. "That alien fixed my cooler," a cargo hauler added. "He stopped a fire in my engine pod," a young boy said. "His daughter gave me her blanket during the storm." Voran looked around. The crowd was growing. "This is illegal," he barked. Daniel raised his voice. "No. This is human, and Alari, and Zalari, and every kind of being that remembers what right looks like." The soldiers hesitated. One of them lowered his weapon. "Sir, the people are protecting him," Voran shouted. "You obey me." But the crowd stepped forward, slow, quiet, strong. Daniel stood at the front. "You're not welcome here," he said. Voran looked around, chest rising with anger. But he saw the truth. If he forced it, there would be noise, and eyes, and reports. He turned sharply and walked back to the carrier. "This isn't over." The soldiers followed. The crowd stayed, still, until the ship disappeared into the sky. Inside the shop, Reknor fell to his knees. Daniel knelt beside him. "They're gone," he said. Reknor looked up. "You risked everything." "No," Daniel replied. "I protected what matters." Sira ran up to hug them both, and for the first time they felt like family. The truth comes out. The market was quiet the next morning, but the people were still talking about the stand at Daniel's shop, about the man who refused to hand over a worker, and the alien who protected the world around him without ever asking for thanks. Daniel sat at his workbench, drinking old tea. Reknor sat nearby, fixing a busted cooling fan. Sira played beside them with wire scraps, making little shapes. "I thought I'd have to leave again," Reknor said softly. "They won't come back," Daniel replied. "They always come back. Then we stand again." A soft knock came at the door. Daniel opened it and found a small alien woman holding a dusty metal box. "This was dropped in the trader's archive," she said. "Marked for disposal. I thought you should see it." Daniel thanked her and brought the box inside. Reknor looked confused. Daniel opened the lid. Inside was an old data pad with faded markings. He pressed the power button. It blinked, then loaded. Record: Colony 5, Security Log, Incident, Pirate Ambush Witness, Reknor Solon Status, Hero, Protected 14 citizens during evacuation, Note: Injured, Refused recognition, Vanished during system collapse. Reknor stared at the screen. "I remember this," he whispered. "I was carrying a child through the fire. She was scared. I told her not to cry." Daniel looked at him. "They erased this?" "I never asked for a medal," Reknor said. "I just wanted her to live." Daniel copied the record, sent it to the local registry. Within hours, the reply came, labor status. Cleared citizen ID, restored child, protected under refugee law. Reknor sat down slowly. He held his daughter close. And for the first time, he felt seen, not as a worker, not as a burden, but as a father who had always tried to do the right thing. Daniel walked out and posted the news on the front wall of his shop. People stopped to read it. Some smiled, some clapped, and one man whispered, "About time." That evening, the three of them shared a meal under the stars. Sira held Daniel's hand as she ate. "Are we safe now?" she asked. Daniel looked at her. "We're together," he said. "That's better than safe." More than workers. Weeks passed. The shop changed, not in size or machines or walls, but in feeling. People came more often. Humans, aliens, traders, wanderers. They came not only for repairs, they came because they heard the story of a human who stood up, of an alien who stayed, of a child who survived. Daniel added 2 new benches to the shop. He let Reknor build one himself. "You're not just helping me," Daniel said. "This place is yours now too." Reknor nodded. "Then let's build something that lasts." Sira now had her own small desk near the window. She colored pictures, arranged tools by color, and greeted every visitor with a bright smile. Some gave her candy. Others brought spare parts she could play with. But one day she brought something special to Daniel, a folded drawing. She opened it and showed him. 3 figures under a bright sun, one tall with a wrench, Daniel. One with long arms and a gentle smile, Reknor. One small with stars around her head, Sira, underneath. In her soft handwriting, "My family." Daniel stared at it for a long time. He didn't speak. He just pulled her into a hug. Outside, a young, alien boy walked by and peeked through the door. "Are you the place that helped the father and daughter?" he asked shyly. "We are," Daniel said. The boy stepped in, holding a broken scanner. "Can you fix this?" "Sure," Reknor replied. "Can I watch?" the boy asked. "You can help," Sira added. That evening, Reknor stood beside Daniel as they closed up the shop. "I came here with nothing," he said. "Not even hope." Daniel nodded. "Now you have everything that matters." Reknor smiled. "Because one man gave me a chance." Daniel looked at him. "No," he said. "Because one man refused to let go." Later that night, Sira curled up under a blanket near the workbench. Reknor sat beside her, brushing her hair gently. Daniel sipped old tea, staring at the stars through a cracked panel. "Funny," he said. "How things begin when you least expect them." Reknor asked. "You mean trouble?" Daniel smiled. "I mean family." He had only asked for work, but the human gave him something greater, a place to belong and a future worth building together.